Hello. It is Julie. And guess what? I'm back for another. Sorry, I can't talk, I guess. 31 Proverbs in 31 days. So today we are on day 3, January 3rd. And yesterday I did Proverbs 2:8. And it says, "For he guards the course of the just and protects the ways of the faithful ones." And then when I was kind of picking scriptures for today, let me make sure my setup is accurate. Okay. Hang on a second. Okay. So for today, I'm picking Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. And this is probably one that is a little more familiar to most of us. It's probably been on a calendar or on some kind of word of encouragement, but this is a very popular scripture. So Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 say, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. So let me say that again because I kind of flubbed it. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. So as I was looking at the different scriptures, I noticed that the common theme for both of these was a pathway, or your course, the way that you travel. And so I thought it'd be kind of fun to do these kind of as like, I don't want to say twin pages, but I did this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm messing with this piece of plastic. So that is why I'm a little distracted and cranky. Okay. Come together, Julie. So like I said, as I was going through these have a common theme. And so I just loved that. And so I figured I would paint these as kind of complementary pages. So this is what we painted yesterday, and it's kind of that night winter scene. So I'm going to do this like a day spring greens, just to kind of give two, stories to tell. But before I get started, I want to show you guys. So this was our Proverbs 1 through 7, and that was our wise owl, talking about knowledge and learning and wisdom. So then yesterday we did Proverbs 2, 8. And then today we're doing Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Just real quick, at the end of January, I will be picking a winner to receive an inspired Proverbs, I say coloring book, but it's so much more than a coloring book. It has these beautiful illustrations, but it is the entire book of Proverbs that you can paint, you can color, you can make beautiful in any way you want. So a few of the days I will be just directly using this book, and other days I'll be in my Bible like I am today. But if you want to be have a chance to win an inspired Proverbs Bible, or coloring book I should say, text the word Proverbs to 406-283-4657. Once again, text Proverbs to 406-283-4657, and I will pick a winner at the end of the month. So back to our Bible journals. Once again, I'm going to do this as our winter night scene, and I'm going to make this more of like a daytime kind of spring whatnot. So I have a couple of my colors, and I'm just going to jump in here and start painting. Actually, let me grab a pencil first. I didn't do as much sketching on today's page as I did on the other ones. So guys, one of my biggest kind of tricks that I love to use is just a simple mechanical pencil. So I'm just going to come in here. These erasers, these white erasers, do really well in book pages, because sometimes pink erasers have a tendency to kind of leave that pink smudge. So I'm going to use mechanical pencil, and once again, I know that my horizon line is about here, and your horizon line is just a fancy way of saying wherever the sky and ground meet. But for me, it's the mountains. So that's kind of where the mountains are. Then I'm going to come in here and just do some mountain shapes. Some kind of random mountain ranges. Maybe I'll do 2 mountain ranges. Then I want to leave room for the sun. Maybe I'll make it look like the sun's like coming up. That'd be kind of cool, because we have the moon over here. So maybe I'll put the sun kind of coming up between the mountains. I'm just coming in with my mechanical pencil and lightly sketching in some kind of shapes. As Bob Ross would say, happy mountains, happy trees. Okay, so I think I like that. So I'm going to jump in here and get started. I see a couple of friends are watching. I said Terry says hi. I see Melissa's on here. Belinda, hello to you all. Hope you guys are all having a great, I know it's Monday. Ugh, Monday. I honestly don't mind Mondays too much. I know for a lot of people, the beginning of the week or the beginning of the, even year can be kind of daunting. But for me, I love a fresh start. So to me, Mondays aren't too bad. And I'm coming in here and I'm just using acrylic paint. And I'm using matte acrylic paint, which is just the kind of sheen. So it's not shiny. Because sometimes shiny paints have a tendency to stick to one another. And so if you have two pages that are painted with shiny paint and then you close them and go to open them again, they can have the tendency to stick together. And we don't want that. So I always recommend just using matte acrylic paint. And I have a couple different brands that I use, but just these little tiny 2-ounce bottles that you can get from any art supply store, from Michael's. Usually they're $1 and change, and you can get as many colors that you want. Sometimes they even come in sets. So like I said, you don't have to use a specific brand, but I would recommend getting one that was a matte finish. Fancy way of saying not shiny. So just grabbing a little bit of white to soften up my blue. But guys, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I've had a lot of positive feedback, which just makes me so happy in doing these. I've had you guys ask me what kind of Bible I'm using. I've had you guys ask me questions about this inspired Proverbs. So if you guys have any questions, please ask. You can either just comment in the video or send me a direct message, and I'll be happy to share anything that I'm working on or that I have going on with you. And at this point, guys, I'm just doing this for inspiration. I'm not like endorsing any certain, brands or anything like that. I'm just doing this. I'm mainly doing this because it's something I want to do. I'm a little bit selfish. I wanted to do this. And I just figured that maybe you would inspire some other folks. So might as well jump on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're watching me and kind of tag along, I guess. But if you know me at all, I'm going to be painting whether I'm on a Facebook Live or just me alone in my art room. And so I love having you guys come on here and talk to me and chit chat with me and let me know what's going on in your space. Shirley says, enjoying watching you paint. Well, that makes me so happy. Let me get a little bit of a brown for my pathway. And so like I said, I want these two pages to kind of go together. It just happens that that's how the layout in my Bible was. And I've had a couple of you guys ask me about this Bible. So this is actually a spiral bound Bible. This is just the Proverbs and Psalms. And the brand is Illustrating Bible. And it's an NIV translation, I think. I have seen these and they have different books and different translations. But I've seen these and thought they were a lot of fun. And so kind of just as a gift to myself, because I'm a big girl and I can, I ordered this and I've just really enjoyed painting in it. It's really good quality paper. So it kind of holds up to acrylics or watercolors or anything I've thrown at it thus far. Not that I'm throwing stuff at my Bible. But I really had fun painting in this. But once again, this is not like buy this brand or buy this, Bible. This is just for you guys to kind of get some ideas and to be inspired. But if you do want to know what I'm using, just ask and I'm more than happy to share. And then just so you know, all of these painting kind of tutorials that I'm doing, I am posting them on YouTube. So I have a YouTube playlist that will be all of these videos. So like, I mean, I don't expect you guys to, to, tune in every day and watch me. If you want to, that is the best compliment. But I know we're all busy and have real lives going on. So I'm just making, as I paint these and record them and upload them, they will be kind of archived there. And so if you, like I said, if you miss a few days, or if you want to go back in February or another time and watch some of these, you can. And I'm just using the same brown as the path. Just like I said, I want it to kind of be harmonious. I'll use a big fancy word. And like I said, as I was kind of picking different scriptures out of the different chapters, I thought that was kind of fun that these both had something to do with, the path that you walk, or, the course in which you travel, all reminding us that God keeps his eye on us as we go about our lives, our day, and do what we do. All right. So now, like I said, some of this is kind of on the fly. I haven't decided all my colors or exactly what my color scheme is going to be. But like I said, I wanted this to kind of be nighttime, winter. Let me see if I can move this over to see a little bit better. But like nighttime with the snow, wintertime. And then I want this to be more spring, summer, vibrant. So that's kind of what I'm going for. Not to, other than just to kind of have something fun and interesting to look at. Like I was saying the last time I was painting with you guys, I love art that tells a story. So for me, this is just kind of fun because you have the moon, the winter, and then this will be more of like the spring and daytime. Actually, I'm going to see if I can almost make this look like it's the sun coming up. I'm going to paint this. I'll add some kind of yellow sunbeams kind of coming out for the morning. All right. But like I said, guys, for me, this is just a way for me to just kind of slow myself down. And especially coming off of the holiday season. I don't know if you guys feel this way, but I always feel that like once I'm like Christmas is come and gone, I feel like I just need like to catch my breath. I feel like, not that I'm a marathon runner by any stretch of the imagination, but I just feel like it's go, 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 go. And then after Christmas, it's like I said, just kind of that time just to kind of catch my breath, kind of poke my head up and see what's going on around me. And so for me, for a lot of us, that's making New Year's resolutions, which I'm not a big fan of because I'm not very good at resolutions. I oftentimes have the best of intentions, and that's about as far as it gets me. But I can make a promise to myself, or a goal. I think a goal is a better word, and I know that sounds silly because it's literally just a word. But it's all about your mindset and what you can commit to. And if I'm like, well, this is more about me, improving myself or setting a goal for myself, I'm much more apt to accomplish it than if I'm like, oh, this is my resolution. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I know that sounds silly. Terry says, hang on, I'm trying to get my comments. There we go. She says, I just realized you're making the other half of the whole painting. Clever. Thank you. I don't have a lot of clever ideas, but every once in a while I get one. I'm just kidding. So I'm just kind of coming up here and doing short little brush strokes. I don't know if you guys remember when I did the same technique kind of over here, and it just kind of makes it look like there's trees far, far away. Guys, do me a favor. Let me know if my reception, I guess, is good. Let me know if you guys can see. Is it blurry? Can you hear me okay? We're getting some kind of weird weather today, and our internet hasn't been the greatest. So I want to make sure you guys can all hear me, see me, all the goodies. Um, and one thing I did talk about yesterday too is like if you do, like I did the yellow and the moon, so I added some yellows down here in the pathway. This dark blue is a mixture of the black and the blue. So kind of just, I always try and have colors be incorporated throughout the entire painting. So this is going to be kind of more kind of how we did the snow. I'm going to paint this, but I'm going to paint on top of it afterwards. So this is a little bit of like an underpainting, but like I said, I want some of these green colors that are in that far mountain range to be pulled from. Just a couple tricks. So my background is I actually am, oh, Shirley says fine in North Carolina. Well, Shirley, I am glad that you are watching from North Carolina. Hopefully you're having a great day. I haven't done a lot of traveling in my life. I've done my fair share, and North Carolina is not a place I visited, but every time I see anything or hear anybody talk about it, it's just looks like a very beautiful place to visit or probably to live too. All right. So just adding a little bit of that green here and there. I'm going to add, I have another green color I'm going to use, maybe a little more than that. I'm going to do our other. So whenever I'm picking out whatever scripture I'm going to kind of highlight, I jokingly call it an artistic frame. So in this one right here, this is where my scripture is, verses 5 and 6. So I'm just going to kind of paint around that little block. And then I always like to use a pen to go back and outline and really make that verse pop even more. So as I'm painting, the reason why I'm leaving that rectangle in the middle of the mountain range is because just like here, I want that to kind of stand out, to pop. And so I don't know about you guys, but this proverb is actually one of my absolute favorites. So once again, Proverbs 3, 5 and 6, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him and he will make your path straight. And I will tell you, there is so much in life that I do not understand that my little tiny brain can't fathom. And in those moments, that's where you kind of, rely on God's understanding. His ways are above ours and his thoughts are above ours. He's way, way, way smarter than any of us. When I look up at the night sky, when I, see the stars and the moon and how beautiful nature is, and God keeps all of those, pieces of the puzzle moving, I go, he's pretty smart and I'm kind of not. And so I'm just going to acknowledge that God is good and is way smarter than me. And in doing that, I get a little more understanding about his character. So I'm not trying to say don't, just be like, well, I don't get it, but I know God does. Not to be silly-nilly about it, but when we put ourselves, when we think we're smart cookies, we are not. Well, I'll speak for me. I am not a smart cookie. And so when I look at the whole scheme of things, when things just don't make sense, good or bad, sometimes there's blessings in life that I just don't know how God could be so good and so gracious, but then there's hard times in life and things that happen, and I can't explain that either. So in the good and the challenging, I acknowledge that God is good. All right. Painting in these short little lines. Like I said, if you ever are painting a mountain range and you want it to look like there's a forest, like there's trees on all of the mountains, I just do these short little tiny lines, little brush strokes, short little lines, and it just looks like tons and tons of trees in a far, far, far away mountain range. And living in Montana, if there's anything I know what they look like, it's mountains. Well, I should say I'm in western Montana. Eastern Montana can be pretty flat. But where we are, we literally live on a mountain. We kind of joke that if somebody's coming up our road Our dog will like perk his head up, and if he barks at him, he's like, who's coming up my mountain? My big scary watchdog, which is a complete joke because he's not. He's not scary at all. So you can see these kind of mountains. See how I'm kind of keeping that same look going across. Add a little more green. And so once again, I'm doing this really pretty kind of spring, summer green, luscious kind of landscape look. And so for kind of underneath, like I said, I'm going to add a ton of grass and stuff on top, but I like these kind of green, yellow tones. Once again, just still pulling from colors I've already used. But if I come in and paint clumps of grass or, trees on top of this, by having this already on there, it automatically gives you highlights and shadows and depth to your little grassy areas. Might add a little dark green. Because when you look at grass, I mean, there's literally hundreds of shades of green, emerald, chartreuse, whatever, fancy colors you want to add in there. And so to kind of get that same look, I'm just streaking a whole bunch of different greens and a little bit of yellow in there too, because all those colors I used up in the mountains far away, so they'll kind of tie together. And once again, I'm using acrylic paint, and you'll notice as I'm painting, some of these words are going to get a little bit obstructed. If that really, really bothers you and you want to Bible journal, just stick with watercolors. Watercolors have a tendency to be a little more see-through, and so that way you can still see the words. And I'll show you a real quick example. I'm not going to put that page down, but see how you can still see the words through the watercolor right there. I mean, if I sat here close, I could still read those words, but these ones are completely covered up. So once again, just do whatever is comfortable for you. But if this is something fun that you want to try, just know that if covering up the words are going to bother you, just stick with watercolor paints. And then also, once again, I bought this special Bible. I love it because it's spiral bound. But when I do regular Bible journaling just for me, not in this big book for you guys to watch, the Bible that I use is actually one I picked up at a thrift store. So this is something fun that you want to try. You don't have to get like a certain translation or a certain brand. Just get something that you're comfortable painting in. Well, I mean, you might even have a Bible laying around your house that maybe you got it from a hotel, nightstand, or I don't know. But if you have a Bible that just you don't have any sentimental attachment to, I kind of joke, I'm like, don't go get your family heirloom, Bible that your ancestors brought over on the Mayflower or whatever, I don't know. But you can just use, the whole purpose is just to spend time in the Bible. Because trust me, I know it can be a challenge diving into this book. As much as I am a Bible loving nerd, you guys, I'm telling you, I love this book and I'm such a dork about it and a nerd about it. But it can be a challenge to get into sometimes, and I totally understand that. And so for me, this is just an easier way for me to spend time with God. And when I'm sitting here and I'm painting, for me, art is such a big part of my life. C. Lynn Reed says, Sprinkle, thank you so much. Do you go by Lynn? I'm pretty sure you do. Let me know. I don't want to say your name wrong. I appreciate it though. But for me, I'm a better person when I'm in my Bible. And for me, as I'm painting, as I'm kind of slowing down in my brain that never shuts off, I can look at those words, ask for maybe some clarity if it's just something hard to understand. And God has just used Bible journaling as such a big part for me, and I want to share that with you guys. And when I say Bible journaling, it's just my word for saying painting in my Bible. Bible journaling can be so many different things. There's some people that use highlighters and color code how they, study the Bible. And there's some people that, you know, stamps and stickers and all kinds of stuff. And that is great and fun. But for me, I just needed something simple. And I have acrylic paints and I have watercolor paints and I have colored pencils and I have a Bible. So that's where I started. And if that's where you start too, then that's great. All right, let me get a little tiny touch. So I'm going to make a darker color. And since we're using greens, most people's natural reaction is to go and just grab some black and darken any color with black, which you definitely can. But sometimes if a color, so here's a little art lesson for you. You have primary colors and secondary colors. Primary colors are red, yellow, and blue. And all that means is that from those three colors, you can make your secondary colors, which are orange, purple, and green. So orange is just red and yellow. Green is yellow and blue. Purple is red and blue. And so since I'm using green and I want a darker green, once again, I can always jump in and use black, but I can also just use a dark blue. And with that dark blue, mix it with the green and you'll get a dark green just by adding the dark blue. So just kind of a little, if you want to be brave, I always joke, people get so stressed out about when they first start making art. Let me know if that's an experience you've ever had. Like maybe intimidating is a better word. And if you guys know me, I'm just like, just jump in and try it. It's not hard, it's fun. And so for me, if I can take some of that scariness or intimidation out of creating, then you guys are more inclined to go, well, Julie said it wasn't that hard, so I'm going to believe her. And then you guys do, and you're like, oh my gosh, look what I made. So if I can kind of share some of my tips and tricks or some little easy hacks, just to make it a little less intimidating, hands down, that's the goal. All right, and I'm just coming in. So this is that darker green. So I use this green and just mix it with a little bit of this dark blue to make this darker green. Just because, like I said, when you're looking at a field or a meadow and you're looking at grass, and especially wild grass, not like a lawn or something that's manicured and, pristine, you get all different varieties of green, and maybe you get some purples and you get some, other colors in there too. So I just want to do this so it kind of gives the effect, the illusion of just a variety. So I'm doing that same little spiky technique that I was talking about, just short little brush strokes going up and down. And just so you guys can see, this is called a flat brush or a wash. And all I'm doing is a nice little square shape. Hopefully that's zooming in for you, but I just use the skinny edge. So when I go and pick up my paint, I run my brush back and forth a couple times each direction. So it kind of holds all those bristles together. And then I get that skinny edge. And that's the edge that I'm making all these short little dashes with, all these short little lines. Hopefully that makes sense. I have some little spots of some green. I'm going to add a little more of this darker green kind of back in the background. This is where, if you're looking at a big area, this is kind of where your eyeball would not really know, this is the way, way in the back. There's way back and way, way in the back. All right. I'm going to go on to my next green. So when I'm done doing this, I'm going to have probably 3 or 4, maybe even 5 or 6 different colors of green mixed in with these short little bunches of grass kind of along the pathway. Maybe somebody walks this pathway every day, and maybe they go to the river and they get water, and some of that water trickles along the edge. Or maybe they're a farmer and they have seed in their pocket, and some of that seed, spills out and you get all these little patches of grass. I don't know. I'm making stuff up. Like I said, I just love art that tells a story. And it's just beautiful if you're out, if you're a nature loving person and you like to hike and be out, you could just look at nature and all the complexities that are in nature and just be reminded of God's goodness. And when stuff doesn't make sense to us, it still makes sense to him. There's some reassurance in that. All right, I'm going to go in with a little bit lighter green, and I'm still using that same brush. So as I go from different color greens, I'm not necessarily cleaning my brush off, because remember, all these greens are going to kind of all mix together. So it's this kind of kaleidoscope of different greens. I don't want to just have one flat little area. I want it to look like there's some up close, some far away, and everything in between. All right. Like I said, some of this I'm just deciding as I go. So if you're like, what is she doing? I don't know yet. All right. Does that look like a nice spring path? I think I'm going to add just some, like the illusion of some spring flowers. So somebody give me a color. What's a pretty flower color? Maybe like a pink or a purple or a yellow. But whoever tells me a flower color first will win nothing except me painting my spring colors, the flowers, those colors. So let me know. Somebody shoot a color out at me and I'll paint some flowers in those colors. So since I want this to kind of feel like the sun's coming up, like when the sun comes up and you get those like sun rays coming out, I want to see if I can kind of create something like that. Just kind of dragging and lifting so it kind of looks feathered or flared. I don't really even have a whole lot of paint on my paintbrush. Let's see, I think we have, so I have pink and purple. So you guys are both winners, and I'll do some pink and some purple. Thanks for chiming in, guys. Sometimes I'm back here talking and I'm like, is anybody listening to what I'm saying? Not that I expect you guys to be at my beck and word, but sometimes I joke with my husband. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go in the back and talk to myself like a crazy person. That's why it's so much funner when you guys jump on here, because then I'm not just the crazy lady. Well, at least when it comes to painting. All right. So see how that kind of looks like a sunburst? Maybe add some white. Then I have an idea. I don't know if you guys remember, but I shared with you the other day that one of my favorite tricks to getting any kind of shimmer or metallic into my paintings is to use a little watercolor that's actually metallic or pearl. So it's kind of like got a luster to it. I think I'm going to see if I can maybe use, some of those over my acrylic. I don't know if it'll work. It may work. It may not work. We can test it all together if you want. But I love everything shiny and bright. And so I like to add shimmer to these paintings, but it's hard because, like I was saying earlier, if you use shiny paint, sometimes the pages will stick together. So I just want to be very, very cautious when I am doing that. Okay. Hold your breath, guys. Cross your fingers. Let's hope this works. Kind of have an idea. If it doesn't work, it's not the end of the world. So I want this to look like, like in the morning time when those beams shoot. Let me see if I can kind of get that same look. So as that sun is coming up, just as it peeks over and almost blinds you. Do you guys know what I'm talking about in the morning time? Am I the only morning person up? Knows what I'm talking about? I shared with you guys when we were doing the owl. I am not a night owl by any stretch of the imagination. Very, very much a morning person. and not a night person, a night owl. So I was kind of joking. I'm like, I'm the person that's making the coffee and like listening to the birds sing in the morning. So this is kind of my jam. Does that kind of look like the rays of a sun coming out? I don't want to go too crazy, but I think that looks pretty cool. And like I said, I'm going to use some of that metallic on here, so maybe that'll kind of help too. Let me know. What do you guys think? Yay or nay? And remember, when it comes to doing things like this, if you screw it up, especially with acrylic paint, you can let it dry and just paint on top. So let's say I did this and I didn't love the way it turned out. Let it dry, paint on top. Nobody will even know. Well, I see you guys. I see some positive feedback, so that's good. It means you guys are liking what I'm doing. Sometimes it can go either way. Sometimes I can either be painting, I'm like, oh, I screwed it up. And then I look back, I'm like, oh, that's not too bad. Or other times I'm like, that looks so amazing. And then I like look at it later. I'm like, oh, no, it doesn't. So just give your guys self some grace when you're creating. All right, we'll let that dry and then I'll add some of that shimmer on top. But in the meantime, I'm going to add some pink and some purple flowers. I have this nice bright kind of like a bubblegum pink. And I have a really pretty kind of like, I don't know, a little bit lighter than like a royal purple. Grab some purple, grab some pink. And I'm just going to do very, like little, just, you know, I don't know a whole lot about flowers, but I'm just going to do like little dots every once in a while, just so it kind of looks like there's little tiny flowers. I'm not going to get real specific with them. Just the idea that those beautiful sun rays are blanketing this beautiful walkway and pasture. Oh, you know what I just thought of? Okay, totally cheesy and totally, once again, sometimes I'm a Bible nerd. But so both of these scriptures talk about God watching over us, and he, you know, kind of guiding us. And then what did I paint? I painted the sun with the rays shining, lighting the way. That's kind of cute, huh? I'm not a very deep, profound person. But sometimes I'll paint something, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool how that worked out. So those morning rays of sun can be God's goodness, his guidance, looking out for us, helping us not to get into too much trouble. Well, maybe that's just me. But I'm just coming in here, and I don't know if I guys told you this trick already, but I'm just using my paintbrush handle as a stamp. So I'm just taking it, dipping it in a little paint, and then stamping that on. It's a really easy way to get, like if you're doing snow or stars, or anytime you just need little precise dots, flowers like I'm doing. Ladies, good suggestion on the pink and the purple. This looks so adorable. Perfect for spring. As I'm looking out my art studio window, my little art room in my house is just a spare room that we have in the back. And it's covered in snow. And as soon as I'm done with this live, I'll probably go build a fire because it's like 22 degrees. All right. That is adorable. I love how this is turning out. Okay. So I'm going to put my acrylics to the side and I'm going to grab my watercolors. So these are the ones that I was telling you are kind of shimmery. And I'll show you real quick what I mean. So as this is drying, oopsie, try not to make a mess, spill everything. So if you can see, let me kind of pull this page so that way it doesn't touch the wet paint. But I did this owl with those same shimmery colors. And I don't know if that's going to show up, but hopefully it does. Can you see how the owl is kind of shimmery? That's the same paint that I want to use on this. So I'm going to dry this corner really, really well. So that way it, I'm painting over dry acrylic, because if I painted over wet acrylic, it would just smear everywhere. I'll let this dry. Aw, you ladies are so sweet, saying that you love the way it looks, that it looks awesome. Lynn, do you go by Lynn? Because I see that on here you are C. Lynn Reed, and I just want, if I say, hey, Lynn, I want to make sure I'm using your name how you want to be addressed. All right. I think that should be dry enough. So guys, I'm just going to add some acrylic, but I just love the way that this turned out. What do you guys think? So it kind of shows two, I don't want to say stories because they kind of come together, but here it is in Proverbs 2. It says, he guards the course of the just and protects the way of his faithful ones. And then here it says, trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight. And isn't it appropriate that I painted a wavy path? My little path. Zigs and zags. And this is just my preference, I always like to still do an outline around the block, the scriptures, just as an extra little way to make it pop. So kind of the way that I say this is my artistic frame for these scriptures. And these scriptures just happen to go hand in hand. All right, so let's get some yellow and see if I can get some pearl shimmer on my sun. And once again, just real quick, if you guys do want a chance to win your own Proverbs, I'm going to pick a winner at the end of the month once I'm done doing 31 Proverbs in 31 days. I'll pick a winner, and if you want to be entered, let's see if I can do this without making a mess. If you want to be entered into the contest, the drawing, I'm going to put all of your names like a Wheel of Fortune kind of thing. It's a cute website that I found, and it like all spins, and then it'll pick a winner. So if you want to be entered into that drawing at the end of January, I'm going to mail somebody an inspired Proverbs coloring book. It's the entire book of Proverbs, but it just has beautiful illustrations. It's on some really great paper. But if you want to be entered, shoot me a text. Just text me the word Proverbs, and I'll very, very excitedly send somebody that coloring book. So hopefully it will be you. All right. So these pearl paints, I think this is going to look amazing. I think it's going to do exactly what I wanted it to do. Like I said, just in the morning time, right as the sun is peeking, its little head over the horizon, and almost blinds you with that bright, bright light. I want to kind of capture that. Once again, it just is so fitting that our scriptures are talking about God watching over us, and he will keep his eyes on us, and he will keep us on the straight path. Woohoo! That turned out better than I had anticipated. Not that I anticipated a bad painting, but I just wasn't quite sure because I was kind of swinging it off the seat of my pants. But just real quick, so here is our day Proverbs 1. Here's our Proverbs 2. And then here is Proverbs 3. And I don't know, can you guys see that gold on the sun? I think that's really, really pretty. So anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying watching me. I have some more. Like I said, I'm going to do 31 Proverbs in 31 days. So I will be back at it tomorrow. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Because like I said, I have a couple ideas, but you have way better ideas than I do. So if you guys have any ideas on different Proverbs for me to paint, I would be happy to do that. And hopefully it will all work out well, like it does in my head. Very seldom does it. One of my jokes is low expectations, but I'm just kidding. And Lynn, you said you do go by Lynn. Okay, perfect. Then you will be Lynn. Thank you so much, Lynn. You gave me great suggestions, Shirley and Terry. And I see Carrie's watching. Carrie, I'm jumping off, so I'm so sorry. But you can watch the replay. But once again, here is our Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him. Or I've also heard in all your ways, acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. So here's our beautiful path that in the summertime or in the wintertime, God is always good and he's always watching out for us. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day.